Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in on this Monday as we kick off another week, a special program today as I am at the MyPillow headquarters in Minnesota today. As later this morning, we'll be broadcasting the Mike Gallagher Show from the manufacturing facility of MyPillow, talking with Mike Lindell and just some of the struggles that he and the company have had. So be sure and go to mypillow.com and use promo code Joey, and let's buy some pillows and some towels and some sheets. They got some great deals. I'll tell you all about those a little bit later, but let's show our support about this great American company, this patriot, Mike Lindell, and show our support for that. Lots to cover today. President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky got first row seats at Pope Francis's funeral over the weekend in a surprise shift in Vatican rules. We have the latest on that. And we're down to the final days to get a real ID, and some states are struggling to be able to process the demand in order to meet the deadline. Do you have yours yet? We're going to talk more about this too. Camping World CEO Marcus Lemonis says he's been forced to shut down his store in North Carolina as he's in this heated legal battle about the massive American flag flying at his stores. But he's not taking it down, he says. We have the update on this ongoing story. And the South Carolina Legislature has 6 legislative days left and a lot to get done. We check in with State Senator Josh Kimbrell for an update on what to expect.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, pull up a chair, grab your favorite cup of coffee, and turn up the dial because you're going to want to listen real closely on this. So President Trump, the man, the myth, the MAGA legend, has once again stolen the show on the world stage over the weekend. Of course, he was at the Vatican for the funeral of Pope Francis himself. Now, let's just set the scene here. World leaders from every corner of the globe flocked to St. Peter's Square to pay their respects to Pope Francis, who passed away, of course, Easter Monday at the age of 88. And you would think that knowing the Vatican's centuries-old traditions, their what some people call arcane protocols and diplomatic pecking order, that President Trump and our beautiful First Lady Melania probably would have been shuffled off somewhere maybe 3, 4, 5 rows back, but behind a bunch of bureaucrats and European royals. But guess what happened? President Donald Trump was sitting front row and center, right there, prime real estate between the president of Estonia and the King of Spain. As if to say, America is back. America is respected. Meanwhile, about, 8, 10 seats over was Ukrainian President Zelensky, the same guy who's been under all kinds of pressure to cut a peace deal with Russia. The Vatican squeezed him into a, quote, vacant place, according to the spokesperson. Now, that's kind of like an afterthought, right? Nothing says afterthought like a vacant space. So let's take a little closer look here. Normally, the front seats, as I understand it, at a pope's funeral go to the clergy, cardinals, bishops, the who's who of the Vatican hierarchy. But this time, Pope Francis's funeral broke with traditions. Heads of state took precedence. And because they organized the seating alphabetically in French, Trump, representing the U.S., landed right there where he belonged, front row, center stage, full world view. You can't script this any better. Trump's entire political story has been about busting through tired old systems, knocking down elitist barriers. There's a bit of irony here that he was standing tall in places where experts have said he didn't belong, but boy, he was right there in the middle of the Vatican, front row. So let's talk about this good meeting Trump had with Zelensky right before the service. Now, you're going to remember these two had a little Oval Office dust-up. When was that? Maybe February or so? A conversation that the fake news media tried to spin into some international incident, some crisis. And yes, it was a failure. It was disappointing because everyone was hoping that something could have taken place, but it didn't. Well, it turns out cooler heads did prevail. They met, they talked, and by all accounts that have been reported so far, it was very productive. Zelensky even thanked Trump, calling it a good meeting, and he was smiling when he left the meeting, we're told. You see, this is classic Trump diplomacy. He doesn't need a team of overpaid bureaucrats whispering in his ear. He talks straight, he listens, and I've heard that a lot from people, is that Donald Trump is a good listener. And you kind of see that in the Oval Office, don't you? I mean, have you ever watched some of the news conferences and some of the special presentations where he has people there? He really, you can tell he's sitting there listening contently to what the people are having to say before he speaks. Now, when he speaks loud. he commands the room. But this is Trump. He listens. He makes deals, good deals for America and for peace. Now, yes, Zelensky, I think it's probably an understatement to say he's under a bit of pressure. There's mounting pressure from Europe and from us, of course, from the United States. We're what, $350 billion plus investors in this war, this endless war with Russia. So when Zelensky walked into St. Peter's Square, according to reports, he got some cheers from the crowd. Those cheers weren't just for standing firm, I don't think. They were for any glimmer of hope that maybe there's some peace possible and that maybe these people had heard that there had been a good meeting between Zelensky and President Trump. And who's the man who could broker that peace deal? Not Joe Biden. Certainly not Kamala Harris. President Donald Trump, of course. You may recall he has brokered multiple Middle East peace deals without firing a shot. So let's talk about some of the other world leaders who found themselves not in the front row. Some of the people who got some of, and look, it's a little bit morbid, isn't it, to be talking about seating placement at a funeral like this? But hey, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to even be at this funeral. Prince William, attending on behalf of King Charles, was way back. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, forget about it, in the cheap seats. Germany's Chancellor, same thing, further back. And that's the beauty of it. This wasn't just Trump muscling his way to the front. It was the Vatican's own protocol, their alphabetic diplomacy, if you will, as some have described it, that put him there. Was it divine intervention? Maybe just good old-fashioned American greatness shining through. Now, Argentine President Javier Milei, he's another interesting character. He was given pride of place because, hey, Pope Francis was from Argentina, of course. Makes sense. The Italian president and his daughter were nearby, too, because the Pope, remember, has a special role in Italy. But aside from that, among the world leaders standing shoulder to shoulder, there was Trump, standing taller than all of them. And this is just proof of our place on the world stage. Because, you know, Joe Biden, as he was campaigning, and even after when he was campaigning for Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris in those final weeks of the campaign wanted to try to convince the American people that Donald Trump would just embarrass us on the world stage, that that Donald Trump would blow up relationships. Yeah, sure. I mean, so compare Donald Trump being there front and center to the Biden-Harris clown show that we've endured over these past few years. The weakness, the confusion, the embarrassment, the true embarrassment on the world stage. If Biden had shown up, he probably would have wandered off somewhere between the basilica and the gift shop. He would have gotten lost. Trump showed up, stood tall, and represented us well. Did you watch any of the funeral procession? Did you watch what was going on at the Vatican? It's a beautiful place. I was blessed to be able to visit there some years back and to be able to walk through that very area that we saw front and center over the weekend. Now the process of choosing his successor is up next, and the world will be watching that as well. More from this special broadcast at the My Pillow Factory coming up. Are you ready for this? I dropped over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan, and I never took Ozempic or any of those other weight loss shots. Joey Hudson here. Before you take a drug, here's something you should know. Your body already makes GLP-1. That's the appetite-fighting hormone that these popular drugs copy. But the PhD weight loss program helps your body make it on its own. No side effects, no long-term risk, no major muscle loss, and no rebound weight gain when you stop. Just natural, lasting results. Before Big Pharma was dancing around in commercials, Dr. Ashley Lucas was doing the real work, helping people lose weight naturally and keeping it off, all without hunger or cravings. At PhD Weight Loss, you'll learn what to eat, when to eat, and how to flip your fat-burning switch without a shot. Don't trade your health for a quick fix. You can do this without Big Pharma. You can do this without drugs. Right now, the first 11 callers get 2 weeks free added to their program, 15% off when you fully commit to the program, a free supplemental bundle, and the PhD Get Results Guarantee. Call now, 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or online at myphdweightloss.com. As we continue this special broadcast, I am in Minnesota today. We'll be spending time at the My Pillow plant throughout the day. We'll be doing the Mike Gallagher show from 9 till 12 noon Eastern time from the actual My Pillow plant, along with Mike Lindell. And again, just promoting this patriot and this American company as he has been attacked by the left and others over his support of President Donald Trump and just his stance on the on voter integrity. So go to mypillow.com. We're going to try to show Mike Lindell and all the employees at MyPillow that America supports them. So go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey and take advantage of some of the great deals that Mike has for you today. I mean, the Giza Dream Sheets, he still has some of those available in the plant. And they're just amazing. They're the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own. Normally, they're $139.98 for a queen size. Today, with promo code Joey, you get them at wholesale price of $69.99. King size only $79.99. The Percale queen size, Mike says that there's still some of those left. Normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, get this, $29.98 with promo code Joey. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-893-4059. MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. And let's show the employees of MyPillow and Mike Lindell and everyone here in Minnesota that America supports MyPillow. So you've got just a couple of weeks now, actually not even a couple of weeks, left to get your real ID. Now, we've talked about this some in previous weeks. And there's now starting to be panic among states around the country because people have waited to the last minute, and we're being told that some of the DMVs can't process them fast enough in order to meet the deadline. Some of the state leaders are saying that there's just no excuse for this for the DMVs to be unprepared. Constituents are waking up early, refreshing their screens only to watch appointments vanish in seconds as they're trying to make these appointments online, which a lot of states are doing. Fox and Friends did a report on the sense of urgency on this. Let's listen.
So time is running out to get a real ID before May 7th. That's the deadline. And there have been reports of long lines at DMV locations across the country. Chandler Painter has the details on that. Good morning, Chandler.
Good morning, Lawrence. So in less than 3 weeks, you must have a real ID for air travel at domestic airports and to enter some federal buildings. Real ID compliant cards will have a star marking on the upper top portion of the card. Congress passed the Real ID Act in 2005, enacting a 9/11 Commission's recommendation for federal standards in identification. Well, now 20 years later, the federal government is finally implementing it in a bid to crack down on illegal immigration.
The reason that Real ID is being enforced is because it's a federal law. Joe Biden kicked the can to May 7th, and this Real ID is going to just empower the states to make sure we're checking people's residences. Their current legal status will be verified. We're going to make sure that people who are getting Social Security numbers in this country aren't voting in states. The states have the power and the information to ensure election integrity.
And the May 7th deadline is quickly approaching, so people are rushing to motor vehicle offices across the country. Many can't keep up as frustrated Americans complain about the lack of appointments. And even some conservatives are speaking out against the change. Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massey posting in part, quote, "Real ID provides no benefit, yet presents a serious risk to freedom." And of course, if you can't get into a DMV on time, other forms of ID that will be accepted in lieu of a real ID include a valid U.S. passport and a permanent resident card, among others. Otherwise, you could face extra screenings or be denied entry at an airport.
Yeah, that's what we need is more screening at TSA.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Chandler.
Now, if you're not quite sure about how to go about getting the Real ID or why you even need it, I got a great article that I posted on my website a week or so back. Just go to joeyhudson.com. I actually did a podcast on that as well. You can go back and search for that as well. Look, if you're not planning to travel, you don't necessarily need a Real ID. But it's my understanding and everything that I've been able to find out from talking with people, this is not going to be extended this time. And that's why so many people have waited to the last minute, is because in the past, as we approach the deadline, it's been put off. It's been pushed forward, literally for decades now. George W. Bush signed this into law. This all came about because of 9/11 and trying to secure our make air travel more safe. But if you're not going to get on an airplane or have no need to get on an airplane, there's no sense of urgency. But if you have a summer vacation plan and you're going to be flying, you're going to need to get this done, or you most likely won't get on that airplane. Of course, you can also present a passport. There are other ways. So again, just go to joeyhudson.com. You can read the article I put on there, and it'll tell you all the details. But again, back to some of these states that are panicking. New Jersey is one that seems to be in a real panic. New Jersey is ranked 49th out of all the states that have responded that they are actually on schedule to be able to meet the demand. Assembly Majority Leader Lou Greenwald, he's a Democrat in New Jersey, said that he understands residents' concerns and their panic, of course, acknowledging that this deadline has been pushed back several times since President George W. Bush passed or signed the law in 2005. He said, quote, "We're now heading into summer. Folks have travel plans, and they're being told that they'll have to wait months just to get an appointment." And that's been the real problem. And if you've waited, you may run into this problem as well. Mr. Greenwald said New Jersey's appointment system is more troublesome than other states like Pennsylvania close by, which allows residents to apply for Real IDs online, and which he called a common sense tweak that's not prohibited by the feds. He says that he will be introducing a bill at the in the New Jersey legislature to try to get that done so that they can process them online. A source familiar with New Jersey's Real ID rollout said that because it's one of the handful of states where illegal immigrants can get status-neutral licenses, that its low personal compliance proportion differs from states where only citizens can get driver's license. So there's a baseline percentage of drivers who cannot get a Real ID to start with. Only green card holders and U.S. citizens can get a Real ID. And this is just part of that safety factor again, making sure that our country is safe. Passports, again, remain acceptable for travel for people who do not have a Real ID. But there's no reason not to go ahead and get it. Now, I know there's a debate on, well, we don't need to do this. Why is our government forcing us to do this? Bottom line is you're not going to really give anything different than you already have if you have a driver's license. So let's just get it done. Am I missing something here? Text me, email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. This is a story that keeps coming up. We talked about it, I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks ago. This latest brush up with local officials in Camping World over their oversized American flag. It's not the first time. This has happened a number of times in other areas of the country. But it's a little surprising when it happens in the Southeast, in a almost really sort of a somewhat red state, particularly a patriotic state like North Carolina. Camping World CEO Marcus Lemonis said that he has been forced to shut down his store in Greenville, North Carolina, because of a heated battle, a legal battle, about his massive American flags flying at his stores. Lemonis told WITN that he closed the smaller of his two RV dealerships in Greenville, North Carolina, accusing council members there of actively trying to disparage his business for refusing to take down the giant flag. But the bottom line is, for Lemonis, he says he's not budging. That his patriotism is not negotiable.
If this was happening in California or it did happen in Oregon, I wouldn't be as surprised, to your point. In North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, you wouldn't think this existed, but it does. And the other problem that we have is that we're dealing with politics inside the city, where the mayors are calling me, telling me that they're in favor of us, but some of their city council members are outruling them, which is telling us what the next election is going to look like.
What's their beef with an American flag, though, Marcus? This is a problem of people, liberals, looking for something to be upset about, and they're looking for an issue, a little like anthill for them to plant their flag in, I suppose.
I think part of it is that, there's an ordinance in the city, and the ordinance has been there for a while, and the ordinance requires a certain size flag, the actual square footage. Our flag is 3,200 square feet. It's 40 by 80. There's 200 of them around the country, so it's not new. And I think that they just feel like the defiance is not good. And I've received countless text messages and phone calls and emails criticizing me for feeling like I'm above the law. How could rich people not follow the law? How are successful businesses not following the law? First of all, it's an ordinance. And I think we need to have a little perspective here. Second of all, the fact that I've had some success in business, and we got to stop demonizing capitalism in this country. But the fact that we've had success in business is not why I have the flag up. I've had the flag up in my family since I was a little kid. And, whether I put it into a barbecue place in South Carolina or I donate it to a city on the river in Illinois, that's a thing that I do. And I've told you guys before, and I'll tell everybody else, I'm going to keep putting them up, and I'm not going to take them down because I don't feel like it's hurting anybody.
I say good for him. What about you? Now, I have had some friends who consider themselves conservative, Republicans, patriotic, who have taken the approach that, well, this is some rich guy thinking the law doesn't apply to him. And he has gotten that criticism. What do you think? Is that the case here? Is that the case of some billionaire? And I think he is a billionaire. He has these Camping Worlds. I think he has like 200 plus stores around the country. He's very successful. He had his TV series, I forget the name of it, where he actually goes in and troubleshoots failing businesses, and in some cases invests in them. So he's a smart guy. He's a successful guy. He's a rich guy. Is that what's happening here? Some rich guy who can afford to pay these large fines? In this case, the city leaders in Greenville, North Carolina, voted to take this legal action. And because of his violation of these city ordinances, he's been hit with $15,000 in fines. I don't know that that's the case here, though, that this is some rich guy being saying that little city council is not going to tell me what to do. I really do believe this guy is an American and doesn't believe that a city council should be able to tell him what size flag he can fly. Now, these are big flags. Have you ever seen one? I've driven by a number of them. He had this same situation. I think it was maybe Winston-Salem, or it was another North Carolina city. And all of his dealerships are primarily on interstate highways. And so you can start seeing these flags miles away. Some say, well, he's not really that big of a patriot. He just wants the attention for his business. The guy is a hardworking, patriotic American. He loves our country. He loves the success that he and his family have been able to achieve in a country where his parents immigrated to. But yeah, these are big flags. They're almost the size of a basketball court, about 3,200 square feet, according to what he said. I mean, that's 30 by 40. I've got a building, sort of a warehouse, that's 30 by 40. That's pretty big. And the pole is about 130 feet tall, which is, according to the variance, the ordinance, he wants a variance. According to the ordinance, it's double the current allowance. So here we go. Camping World has been sued by other municipalities across the country over the size of its flags. Officials in Sevierville, Tennessee, for instance, took issue with the height of the pole, not the size of the flag, but the height of the pole. Now, are we just kind of getting in the weeds here when you have a city council literally going out and measuring a flagpole or measuring the size of a flag? Now, I get it if it were like a flag for his business, like an advertisement, I guess. Although there's some property rights advocates who say, look, you should be able to fly any kind of flag you want on your property. No government entity should be able to tell you that you can't. Love to get your feedback. Text me, email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. You can also leave me a quick message on the MyPillow message line. Always use promo code Joey, when you go to mypillow.com to place your order. And, of course, this special broadcast from Minneapolis today. From the MyPillow plant, we'll be touring the plant and finding some specials for you as well. So, but I digress. Leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Tell me what you think about this. Should there ever be an instance where a business or a person is told the size of flag and the height of the pole that they're allowed on their property? Lemonis, for weeks, has defiantly said the flags will not come down. And as you heard him, he says he's not going to do it. And in this case, he literally closed the business last week. Greenville, North Carolina Communications Manager Brock Letchworth said after the city took legal action that the issue was never been about removing an American flag or the type of flag. She said in a statement, it's about bringing the flag into compliance with city code. We look forward to finding a resolution that will result in the continued display of the flag, but in a way that does not violate local laws. The closure of the store, of course, is just adds another dynamic to it. Lemonis still saying he's not going to budge, that the flags are his love letter to the country, which allow him to thrive and allow him to be able to, his family is from Lebanon, and they were able to flee Beirut and come here and make very profitable, successful businesses. Now, Lemonis threw in another little wrench to this whole equation. He told local radio station WTIB that he proposed making a $50,000 donation to Maynard Children's Hospital in Greenville, North Carolina, in lieu of fines, and with the agreement that the council would change the ordinance to allow his flags. Now, again, that's a very noble gesture to make a $50,000 donation to this children's hospital. But again, as you can imagine, those who are critical of him flying this flag or flying this size flag say, well, he's trying to buy his way out of this. He's trying to make the city look bad by offering this donation in exchange for them changing the law for him. I don't know. Now, Lemonis did come back and say that he's going to make the donation regardless. He said that he did not want it to be quid pro quo in exchange for the ordinance change. In a statement afterwards, he said, the merits of the Children's Hospital stand on their own, and anytime an organization like that's trying to do good things and actually doing good things, they're deserving of a contribution. He said, so I'd be happy to make a donation, but I would prefer not to have it be quid pro quo. So I think he kind of backed up on that a bit, thinking about the optics of saying, okay, I'll make a $50,000 donation to your children's hospital if you change your local laws. Again, I'd love to get your feedback. Is there anything wrong with this? Is there anything wrong with making a $50,000 donation to a children's hospital with an agreement that the local city council will change their law? You tell me. Text me, email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. On our guest line today, South Carolina Senator Josh Kimbrell. How are you, sir? You're down to the wire.
Yeah, hard to believe the session's coming to an end. It's been a busy year. I don't know if I'm overly happy with what's been accomplished because it's been a busy year, but not a lot's been done that I wanted to see get across the finish line in both chambers.
Yeah. So as we head into to this week, you basically have 6 legislative days left. Let's talk about what you think will be the priorities.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that I think people have been anticipating would get done that I wanted to see get done, and one of those still is liquor liability. I mean, you've got the House and the Senate that have passed competing liquor liability or tort reform bills, and so far, neither one of those have gotten across both chambers. And so if something doesn't happen in the next 6 days, that ongoing crisis with venues, mainly bars, restaurants, is going to go on for another year. So, I mean, that's something that I pray there's some kind of compromise on. I mean, the House passed a bill that was much simpler. I mean, the Senate bill is much more complicated, much more far-reaching. And of course, we passed a compromise package, Senate 244, that was much broader. And it seems like both chambers are kind of sitting on their laurels and saying, all right, we want our version. And at some point, I'm proud to be in the Senate, and House members obviously like being in the House, but you hope at some point pride of chamber, so to speak, kind of doesn't become the priority, and we can all just agree that something's got to get done. So that's a priority in my mind. Tax reform, there's been hope that we could get a tax package that reduces rates. But there's a lot of consternation about the House version because that would have potentially raised rates on middle income earners. I understand trying to flatten out the tax rate, and I support that. I believe we should get to a flatter tax, and my goal is eventually to eliminate the income tax. I've been saying that on your show for years.
Yes. Still
want to get there, but there was worry about what would happen to middle income earners there. Now the Senate, we just accelerated the tax reduction. So the Senate budget we just passed Wednesday accelerates tax relief and lowers those rates faster. And we're trying to get to a lower rate quicker. So I'm hopeful there's a compromise on reducing tax rates without increasing rates on middle income earners, so we can start phasing the tax rate out faster and getting to my goal ultimately of zero income tax. So I think you'll see some more movement on tax reduction. Those are big priorities that need to happen in the next 6 days, but we have very little time to do it.
Yeah. With me today, South Carolina Senator Josh Kimbrell. So let's go back and let's just start with tort reform. It's my understanding the House version pretty much just deals with the bar and restaurant group, and what you guys passed in the Senate is a much broader bill that, because look, let's just face it, the liability reform that we need affects a lot of people other than just bars and restaurants. I mean, you have truckers, you have logging companies, just about any business who requires liability. And of course, that trickles down and it affects our individual homeowners rates, our automobile rates. So it's my understanding that you guys, when you received the House bill that they passed, you basically just amended it with the language of your version and now have sent it back to them. So you're kind of back to, we would like our version to pass, right?
That's right. We struck and inserted Senate 244 back into the House version, sent it back to them. Here's the problem, as I have long said, Joey, even with Senate 244, because I worked hard to compromise to amend Senate 244. I voted for Senate 244, but only after we made some adjustments to it. My concern with 244, its original version, and I said this the entire time throughout the debate, we debated it for 5 weeks in the Senate. It was the single longest debate that I can remember in my 5 years in the Senate. We may have had one or two that rivaled it, but it's been a while since we had one that long, and I think it might have been the longest I've ever experienced. There were two problems. In my view, originally it was imbalanced. Yes, I agree with you. You got to have liability reform beyond just bars and restaurants, although that is the biggest pinch point. That is the single biggest pain point for this skyrocketing insurance rates. Bars and restaurants are getting hit the hardest if you want to look for the most pain point. But there had to always be a balance, in my view, between what I called all nines and all state. You have some, not all trial lawyers are made equal. You got some that are really bad and abusive, the all nine crowd, the ones that are on there all the time promoting as I call it, on the Price is Right, just suing everybody for sport. Those are the bad guys.
Yep.
We need to do something about those. But then you got insurance companies like and that's why I call it the all nines or all states, that wanted to find a way to pay nothing. So the original version of the bill would have given 12 months, or 10 months at least, 10 to 12 months, for even Allstate to settle your homeowner's claim. I thought that was ridiculous. I didn't want to give them a way to never pay your claim. So we had to really get to an amendment, a compromise version on that would make sure that your insurance claim actually got paid too. So it was a really hard fight. Once we got to that, I was comfortable to vote for 244 in its final product, which I thought would do some good things. Then it gets to the House, and they haven't been able to move on it. And then the House version was good, too, when it came to bars and restaurants. It would have lowered that $1 million limit that's killing them and brought it ultimately down to $250. I thought that was good, too. There are two good opportunities out there to lower these rates and make sure, particularly bars and restaurants, aren't failing every day. And it's really sad that we have two really good opportunities to save these bars and restaurants. That pride of authorship is going to prevent that from happening. We should pass both bills if all else fails. Pass something. It's really unfortunate that in a supermajority legislature we can't get something done. I'm going to continue to advocate to make sure we do.
Yeah. Senator Kimbrell, I was speaking with someone just the other day. I can't recall who it was, but they said that you guys had basically passed 9 bills this session. Now, maybe give or take one or two, but do you think it's been a productive session? Have you gotten things done that you wanted to? Obviously, you haven't on tort reform. You haven't on income tax. What are your thoughts on this session?
No, it hasn't been productive. I'll be the first to tell you, I'm frustrated. Again, this is my 5th year in the Senate. And, Joey, we've always been able to get – you always have moments where you're frustrated. I mean, you always have moments in the session where you feel like we wish we could have had this or that. And this has been the most frustrating year I can recall because you've got so many new people in the House and the Senate. And that's part of it. It takes some time to, and it's not a criticism of anybody, it just takes time to get new folks in. It's just a huge new class. But then the House and Senate seem to just not be talking to each other. And one of the things I have said, we don't have a quarterback right now. The House and Senate seem to be kind of doing their own thing. We have, we're down to less than 18 months before the new governor's election. I just don't feel like there's anybody singing off the same sheet of music. So I've tried my best to go out there and say, here's what I think needs to happen. Here's what I would like to see transpire. But you just got too many opinions and too many people running in 35 directions. And so there's a lot of good ideas floating around, but there's no real pivot point where everybody's coming together. And I find that unfortunate because there's a lot of good energy of conservative ideas that need to be advanced, but no one person calling the shots right now. And that's frustrating. I mean, there's some things that have been positive this year. Look, another opportunity that I thought was a missed opportunity that I think is positive for conservatives. I worked very hard to block Dr. Simmer's nomination. We were successful in doing that.
Yeah.
In medical affairs, we blocked his nomination, medical affairs, and yet the governor hasn't withdrawn his nomination.
Yeah.
So, he's still serving as your health secretary, even though the Senate said no. So we defeated his nomination. The Senate, the governor said no. So that's another example of we're not having a good quarterback moment. But we rejected that, so South Carolinians can be proud of the Senate there. But it's just frustrating that we have so many conservative opportunities, and yet there's so many directions that everybody's running.
Yep. Well, you've got 6 more days, Senator, and hopefully you'll be able to get some things accomplished. I'm going to say in my parting shot here, I'm a little disappointed that, my bill was the HOA bill that you filed, and there's been no movement on that. So I'm going to give you some grace on that one, and we're going to come back next year and really work on that one.
Well, hey, you don't have to give me the grace. I'm fighting for it, man. I'm all for it. I'm trying to get it moved myself, and I want the HOA bill to advance. But the good thing is it is the first year of a 2-year session.
Yep.
I have filed it. We are getting some traction on it. We do feel that that'll move. I want that to happen. In my view, the only threat greater to property rights than overreaching HOAs are property taxes.
Yep.
I want to do something on property taxes and HOAs. Then we can say we live in a free property rights state.
Yep. Well, we're gonna expect that when you guys you can work on it sort of in the off season here and be ready for January. Senator Josh Kimbrell, always a pleasure. Appreciate your time today.
Always good to be with you, Joey. Thank you.
That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.